Hi everybody, it's Rolex here. Today's video is going to be a bit of a different format, which I'll go over my personal take on the patch, Lake of Plunder itself, and so on, all the philosophies that GGG took the step forward into that direction. I was going to make a patch note review or, like my first impression on patch note, but well, you can just see it yourself.
Right, it's basically nothing. Like basically nothing. This patch is pretty much just like a thin paper, a paper thin. So I have nothing to talk about it
because I don't know what to put, on the background. I'm just gonna put some boss fight that I did on my League Start Champion Spectral Helix on the background, some invitations, boss fights and stuff like that, just to have something moving on the background while I'm talking. There are three philosophies in this patch or expansion that GG trying to take a step forward or to get into that direction. First, they want to reduce the amount of loot and make them drop a better, or what they call a item culling. That probably what they calling them. The second, they want to make sure that rare monsters sometimes has a meaningful fight for better rewards. And the third, they want to make the item that drop from the ground more compelling toward upgrading your character compared to a crafted item, to be exciting again once you see some rare item drop on the ground. Before I go over them, I want to explain my situations and factors that form all of my opinions or my beliefs or something like that, how I form all of these opinions. Since last league, I've changed my schedule a lot because I got a real life job, so the way I approach Battle Exile, it's slightly different. Firstly, I can't afford doing Magic Find for 8 to 10 hours a day anymore, so that's gone, and hopefully I can get back to it, but my playtime dropped to about 3 to 4 hours during work days. I guess I experienced less of this stuff. Harvest not giving juices, crafting is gone, the loot is horrible, so I played less than before, and that maybe just led to I faced late Orc Nemesis monsters or something like that. I don't know, but I did play on the first week, and the weekend I did play a lot. I think I played about like 15 hours or 20 hours, I don't know, on those 2 days, while I just having a a good weekend time. Yeah, I might be slower, I might be weaker in this patch, but somehow I find that this patch myself excited to lock in every day since the league launched. And you may say that maybe I'm just playing a meta build, you're playing Spectral Helix Champion. I mean, I've been playing Spectral Helix Champion since forever, I guess, since the Spectral Helix has come out. So I guess my opinion is not valid because I play the same skill every single week, I guess. I don't know, like I just comfortable to play this skill, and if you're gonna invalid me because of that, well, I mean, it's fine, I guess. Now that I got a good thing out of the way, let's talk in some places that I think need more improvement. In this league, there are one new thing being added, which is Master's Memory. And that's great, but that's it. That's the only thing that they added into the new system. So they nerfed Harvest, which making the cost of Gift to the Goddess went to the roof. Every single enchantment gone up by a significant amount. And it's basically impossible to get in Soul Cell Found. Like, you cannot really get a skip to the Goddess in Soul Cell Found. You can't really expect to get one. Like, you have 20% chance to spawn in map, and then you also have chance to not getting it, because there are 3 variations of the improved offering of the goddess. They removed Beyond, which upset a lot of people. We thought tinted currency, it's nice and all, it's probably going to be a redeeming quality, but they destroy it, both drop rate and making it even worse than the regular currency. To me, I think Beyond removal and the garbage replacement is probably one of the worst of this patch. It's just bad loot, Harvest nerf, and Arc Nemesis unbalanced, exploit on the Arc Nemesis mod. With all these things, I think that the thing that is probably make people not enjoying the league is also the league itself. Like, uninterested, just kind of disrupt the flow of the gameplay and not giving enough reward, and also not interesting enough to keep people engaging. The only good thing about this patch is the master memory, and I'm gonna give the credit to GGG. This is such a great system to add into the core game, and I'm okay that it's added into the core game, because, well, next league it's still gonna be there and you're gonna have fun with it. But it's so rare and is locked behind the in-game system, which is very in-game system. You have to maybe like a tier 14 plus or something to be able to drop a master's memory, and that just like, well, you're not having fun with the league, you have a terrible loot thing, because some currency just never gonna drop, and sometimes it's drop from a Arc Nemesis monsters, and now the harvest is also gone, so you can't craft your gear, you can't really progress that fast, and you don't have anything to play with, like, basically until you get to tier 14. So I think that's probably one of the biggest problem that this patch has. If you're gonna take everything away from players, I think that the league itself has to be a banger, or there has to be a new system that keep people engaging until they forget that what they've been taken away, right? But this patch is not that.
And the question is, where do we go with Path of Exile 1 between now and then? And I think this comes down to league mechanics and expansion mechanics providing interesting ways of getting items. Ideally, through the ground in many cases. I don't have any specifics to talk about with unannounced content. Like, I don't want to say, actually, 319 tries to solve this by doing various things, because, of course, that takes the wind out of that announcement. But it is something we care about. Like, I do see quite a big chunk of Path of Exile's itemization to be in a poor state at the moment because of this. There is a decluttering project that we're doing, which ideally is something that just subtly helps to reduce the amount of junk items that no one ever picks up. It's interesting, I referred to that in the chat with Ziggy last week, and no one mentioned it as far as I can tell after that point, but that was like a ninja patch that we did at one point without any documentation to try to test out decluttering, which has been effective because it has worked in the direction of decluttering without causing any particular alarm. But basically the intention there is to cull items that are very unlikely to be picked up heuristically. Like, basically white items that are duplicates of, ones that you have plenty of access to.
Now we can go over the 3 philosophies that GGG were trying to achieve in this patch. First is reducing amount of loot and make them more impactful. From my experience, I play pretty much casually from tier 1 to tier 16, get into end games and stuff like that. I think the new system is really good, and I think they nail it in terms of the rare item drop, the magic item drop, and just like a item base and stuff like that. You're not really seeing a life streak drop in a tier 14 now, tier 15 now. You're not seeing a short bow drop in tier 15 or something like that. Now you only see a really high item level, or a high base item level from the ground, and I think that's a really good thing. I think I like the change. It makes more sense. You're going up in tier, you're fighting harder monsters, you should get only the high tier item, right? Because that makes more sense.
I believe that A good Path of Exile experience is that you can handle the maps you're doing. But while you're handling the maps, there should be combinations of random elements where 2 or more things come together that wake you up. So it should be that you know each mod individually you can do, but when there are 2 mods, that's interesting and dangerous. Now, if you can't deal with lack of leech, or you can't deal with complete immunity to something, then it sucks that you keep encountering this. So ideally, it'll be a pair of things together that makes a situation you can't deal with, because that way it's A, interesting, B, infrequent, and C, something that you can have a mitigation for you don't have to use too often. And so I do agree that if there's something that just blocks entire builds and it's a single mod, then that's probably a bit of a problem. And we'd have a look at that.
Now the second philosophy. Rare monster occasionally has a meaningful fight and drop better reward. This sounds good on paper, but we're playing ARPG, not Dark Souls. These occasionally meaningful fight, it's basically just circling around the mob until they die or we do. Like, there's no fight in there. There's no like, you're not playing a memory game in there. You're not dodging a ball in there. You fighting in monsters, and sometimes you get overwhelmed by them even because there's still, magic monsters there. There's still white monster that like throwing spark at you, maybe something is shooting something at you, right? In the same time, like when you're running a map, you're fighting occasionally strong monster. I mean, it's okay, but they take like 40 times tankier than a regular rare that you face most of the time. So it's just weird to have these system in the game in the first place. Yeah, and it's not even dropped like good. Like you can't really say like, but they're solely touch. That's the only thing that matter. I mean, empowering elements is a nice thing, I guess, because you get a fracture item. But like, you're not gonna see them that often, and it's pretty weird. And I don't know if they're ever gonna achieve this without people feeling like, why, right? Now it's the last philosophy. They want the item drop off the ground to be more compelling to use compared to a crafted item. I think this is fine, as long as you can still craft your gear, and you have to craft your gear to get better item, because crafting your gear, it's not an easy task, right? You still have to grind, you still have to spend time, you still have to put effort into, getting the base, getting the mod that you want, know how to craft, and having basically a reward being that you have a good knowledge of the game. So you're getting reward by know the mechanics of the game, so you can craft things better than the loot that drop off the ground. If you don't have any knowledge, yeah, sure, better loot means better item for you. But for people who know how to craft things, and they play a lot, they spend a lot of time in the game, they should be rewarded for doing that, not being punished. Like, you can make the loot better, but nerfing the craft as well, it's just weird, because you're punishing people who spend a lot of time and effort into the game by making the item they can make worse, and by making some RNG slot machine drop from the ground better. It's like a weird thing to change, and I'm absolutely against this. The only thing that I think good is that they need to make loot better. That's it. They don't need to nerf craft. They can just leave how as it is, just disrupt the flow of the game, don't care, and make it powerful, right? I think the last patch was okay for Harvest, and I think it's not that bad. But it's still very strong. I think it needs a little bit of nerf, but not this, right? This is basically you just remove Harvest from the game until you reach about tier 9 or tier 10. You're not gonna get juices like at all at the first 5 tiers of the map. You're not gonna get enough juices to craft anything or to make any item. So basically you just play slot machine until you get into a yellow tier map and you can craft stuff. So it's just a slower process, and I don't know, I don't have a problem with it, but I can see why people hate it. Even though overall I think the game is good, I enjoy it, I play it, but this patch feels like we're stepping backward instead of forward. Although I like the new loot change, but it needs time to refine it. We've been with the old loot system for 10 years, and I mean 7 years for me. Adapting to the new system in just 1 week, it's just impossible for anyone. This video is going to take a long while. I don't know if it's gonna come out after the first week or after the second week. I don't know. It's probably gonna take a while because I need to find a clips of a lot of things as well. I need to put in some backlash that has a crit set things, and maybe sometimes in a trailer, you know, the philosophy thing that if I can't find them, I'm just gonna made it up, I guess. But you know, you can let me know below that you want this scripted version like this, you know, the scripted video like this, or just unscripted rant, because the scripted one is obviously gonna take a lot of work for me. You know, I have to write up my thoughts and, you know, condense them, and then I have to edit them in the software as well. Hope you all enjoy the league, and I'll update you on my champion Spectral Helix soon. So there's gonna be a guide as well. I hope that is going to be a guide for, you know, the end game Spectral Helix champion. Hopefully. Until then, bye.